Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Very Factual Podcast. We're your hosts, Kayla.
And Isabella, and we had some very important games this weekend, starting with Spurs versus Arsenal.
Yes, so Arsenal traveled to Tottenham to take home a win of 3-2. Spurs came out a lot stronger in the beginning than expected, but I think they forgot which goal they were headed to because they scored an own goal, rewarding Arsenal the lead. This set back Spurs, and Arsenal took advantage with Bukayo Saka scoring in the 27th minute and just 10 minutes later Havertz scoring again, putting Arsenal in a 3-0 lead at halftime. However, when the second half began, Spurs came out strong and managed to score one goal in the 64th minute. The game became an intense fight with Arsenal constantly being attacked. With the 90th minute approaching, Arsenal knew they had to win. But in the 87th minute, Spurs were rewarded a penalty and scored, giving them the hope to at least take 1 point to the table with the last remaining few minutes. But Arsenal stood their ground and managed to win. And something I gotta say about this game is that Spurs played a lot better than I expected, judging by how they've been
Mm-hmm.
playing recently. And I feel like if it wasn't for their own goal, their mindset would have been a little different and they might have won. And the stats I feel like even reflected that. They had 15 shots while Arsenal had 9, and the possession was 63% in favor of Spurs. And this match was pretty even in moments though. Like teams had their peaks and their drops, but at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's how many goals were put in each net, and that gave Arsenal the win.
Yeah, it was kind of low key, like kind of nervy for Arsenal. Like
It
they
was.
could have had like a late scare, to be honest with you. Like Spurs turned it around. They they could have tied up the game. Like it was very chaotic, especially in the second half. And Spurs, they haven't been so good recently, especially compared to the beginning of the season. They've been kind of predictable. Like they always play the same way and they do the same thing every game. And I we saw that in this game, but since it was a London derby, there was more energy. And I thought Spurs defense, they kind of struggled. They weren't where they needed to be on the field. And there was also a lot of penalty calls in this game, but you know how players are today, a lot of them were dives. Like there was this
Mhm.
one penalty chance, I guess, opportunity. Kulasevsky, he could have, got his team a penalty, but he didn't go down because it literally wasn't a penalty. He stayed on his feet, and that's what I like to see. I've heard a lot of people saying that he just should have went down, but he played fair, and it's good.
That's the whole point of the game. You don't want to constantly see free
Yeah.
goals being given out. Yeah, it would have been great if he got a penalty or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like he stood up, and that's
Mhm.
even better than them getting a penalty. Like, that's how it's supposed to be played. People kept on falling and diving. I remember I was like walking through my kitchen and stuff when like the game was on in the background, and I was looking at the TV and I saw so many dives
Oh yeah.
like from the defensive on Arsenal, and they were like not Arsenal, sorry, Spurs, like attacking
Mhm.
Arsenal, and I think I saw Havertz on the ground maybe 5 times.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't stay on his feet, but also they
No.
were playing so aggressively.
I thought a lot of Arsenal players, they did look good in this game. Like Saka looked good, even though he's been kind of more burnt out this season. He was very integral in this game. And Kai Havertz, he continues to look amazing and he just continues to impress. And he's been scoring a lot recently. He didn't score in this game, he could have, but it just adds on to his form this season. Like he is not a striker, that's not what he came here to be. He literally took Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Nketiah out of the team. Like I said, he could have scored the first goal, but it was called offside. And I think he's become very important for Arsenal. And I'm very surprised like how good he is. Like I did not expect it at all.
No, me too. I think you and I both said he was like a bat like in the very beginning of the season where like he wasn't the best idea for a
Mhm.
transfer. He doesn't belong there. But like judging by how he's playing though, I feel like he's definitely found like his niche in there and he knows what he's doing when
Mhm.
he's on the field, and he's definitely one of the strongest players at Arsenal right now.
Yeah, and Arsenal, they needed to win this game, and they did that. They got the 3 points. They continue to press for the title. Like we said, Liverpool are out of it, and now there's literally no room for error. City and Arsenal are a point apart. Arsenal is just ahead, and I can't wait to see what becomes of this. I'm so
It's gonna
excited.
be such a close game. It's gonna
Mhm.
be between Arsenal and City, like you just said. Liverpool used to be in the race, but they haven't been in the best
No.
form this season. But I guess we'll see. I think it's gonna keep switching first and second where each team is, and It's just down to whichever one ends up tying.
Manchester City continued to fight for the Premier League title as they beat Nottingham Forest 0-2. Joško Gvardiol would give City the lead into halftime with a near post header in the 32nd minute. And Erling Haaland would come off the bench to make it 2-0 in the 71st minute. City, they did what they needed to do. They don't panic, they just churn out results. And we always see this towards the end of the season. And maybe it hasn't been like the City that we know, that we always see at the end of the season, where they're just running over teams like 5-0, like with these big results. And they they haven't lost this year, like in this calendar year in 2024, and it's almost like unbelievable because when we talk about City now, we don't think they have been really good.
Yeah, I mean, judging by like how they've been playing, like, or those close shots that they've had, you don't really think that they're like
Mm-hmm.
amazing. But like judging by what you said, they've been pretty good this season. And also, something about this game is that you told me this before that like City played good, but they didn't play as good as you'd
Yeah.
expect. Like if you compared how they played and you didn't know like their how they usually play in their like form and everything, you would have
Mm-hmm.
been like, oh, City played amazing. But like judging by how they normally play and you know their potential and everything, they could have played much better. I mean, they all actually something that surprised me, like I'm looking at the stats right now, is that Forest had more shots than City.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was only three more. Forest had 14, City had 11, but still it's like it's more shots like towards their net, which
Yeah.
is shocking to me because I would have expected much more from City playing against a team like Forest who aren't awful, but like you
Yeah,
usually
they're
expect more
not
from a
good.
team who's from a team like a not great team playing against the team that's literally fighting for first place right now.
Yeah, and I think the reason we kind of have we kind of look at City and say that they're doing bad is because they have set such a high standard for themselves,
Hmm.
and the smallest drop off makes it seem huge. Like they're not horrible. Like we're not saying that. It's just compared to the City of last season when they won the treble, that's what we're comparing that to. And we just see it and we're like, they're not good anymore. But they are.
They're amazing. They're still amazing. They're literally still fighting for first place. But I feel like their wins are a little more, I want to say lucky this season, but they're
Mhm.
still pretty good. Like I say lucky because like you said, they were phenomenal last season and now they're just great.
Mhm.
Which seems so backhanded, but that's like you would just they set such a high standard that they need to reach it now.
And Nottingham Forest, they had their own struggles in this game. Like some players got injured in this game. There was one player, I think it was Mario. He was literally playing injured like the whole game, and it sucks. But I think at this point of the season, it's not about how good your team performs. It's only about winning, because there's so much stuff to accomplish. Like City are fighting for a title, Forest is trying to not get relegated, and like you said, City didn't play that great, and Forest, they could have had some goals. There was like amazing opportunities for them, but they just weren't clinical, and they had chances and opportunities and they made nothing of it.
I feel like Forest doesn't know what to make of these opportunities because they
Mhm.
don't get them a lot. Like you said, they're in relegation right now and they're like trying to beat like not being in it. So I feel like whenever they get these opportunities, especially against a team like City who's fighting for the title, they don't really know how to react and they just kind of panic and like don't know how
Mhm.
to work with each other because they're used to defending their net. So
Yeah.
now that they had those opportunities a little bit more during this game, they didn't know what to do. So it definitely helped City. And like you
Yeah.
said, at this point, I don't really think it's about how they play. It's about the score of the game because at this point they need those 3 points back at the table to keep moving forward and possibly win their title.
Yeah, I think in the second half, City played better. They kind of recouped when they came out onto the field. And I think they'll be happy with the 3 points, like, obviously. But the 90 minutes, like the game, they won't be happy with because it's not really up to City standards. And Kevin De Bruyne, we have to give him some credit. Like, 15 assists in 21 games, and he has been injured a majority of the season, but he can still produce. Like, he is such a good player. He can find space everywhere. Like he sees things we can't see.
Yeah, he's like he sees things you can only see from like an out of field perspective. Like when you're on the field and you're playing, it's different than like, judging a game like we're doing right now.
Hmm.
So like he sees both perspectives and like
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing when he's on the field and he's definitely one of the top players for them right now.
Yeah, and I want to speak just a little bit on the title race again. I think it was last week or something. I said I could see Arsenal slipping up somewhere, even if it's just a draw. Because I don't really see Arsenal losing any of their games that they have because they have 3 games left: Bournemouth, United, and Everton. I can't see them losing any of them, but I could probably see them draw somewhere. Like Everton, they upset Liverpool this season, and I don't know. I feel like Arsenal are more likely to slip up than City.
I agree. I think they're more likely to slip up. I feel like wait, who are City's next games against? Do you know?
They have 4 games left. So Wolves, Fulham, Spurs, and West Ham.
Wait, if they have 4 games left and they win all four, doesn't that put them in first?
Yeah, basically. So,
Even if Arsenal wins both of them.
yeah.
Oh, so basically City's won
Yeah, basically. I mean, Arsenal are still ahead by a point,
by a point, but
but
if
City have a game. Yeah,
hypothetically if they both win all of their games, City would still be in first.
City have an extra game, and
City have an edge, yeah.
yeah, I think Spurs is probably like the most stressful game, but I think they can do it because Spurs,
Yeah.
they haven't been great recently,
This is
and
so unfair.
but like I never really feel stressed when I watch City. I think I just like I know they can do it and I just have a lot of confidence in them. Like we spoke on how they have mentality, they have the
Mhm.
experience, and I think this is going to be Manchester City's title again.
I think so too. I mean, obviously they're not going to win the treble again,
No.
but I think they are going to win the Premier League this season.
Liverpool would watch the Premier League title slip out of their hands Saturday, drawing with West Ham 2-2. West Ham would break the deadlock right before halftime with a goal by Jared Bowen. Andy Robertson would then get Liverpool a goal back in the second half, but they continued to struggle. Mikel Antonio would put West Ham in front once again, and it all came down to an own goal by Alphonse Areola, which would see Liverpool walk out with a point. I'm kind of starting to get concerned for Liverpool. They just aren't hungry anymore. I feel like there was a point this season where we thought they were going to win the title, and the first half was so bad. Like there was literally no urgency, no intensity. Second half they came out, they got better, but then West Ham scored a goal and they just let them back in the game. And when we said the Premier League title race is over for them before, but you saw the players very disappointed after this game, and they're kind of you have to kind of put the blame on them.
Like, yeah, I know. They're kind of done for. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
you know the potential that they have. You know what they can do. They just didn't reach that potential. And the fact that during this game, one of their goals was an own goal by West Ham, which
Mhm.
I feel like says a lot that they couldn't even get a lead out of it,
Yeah.
even having a free goal, literally a free goal.
Like it was bad. They were very slow defensively. No one reacted fast enough. No one wanted to work. They didn't want to create anything and try anything, which is very unlike Liverpool. Like yes, they dominated possession, but it didn't really feel like it until maybe a bit in the second half and they had 28 shots. But you literally ended up with an own goal and a goal by a defender. Like their drop off happened so fast and no one expected it. Like I did not see it coming and now everyone is pointing fingers at each other at Liverpool. And I want to talk about a little incident that happened during the game. So basically, I don't know if you saw this, Caleb, but Mohamed Salah did not start the game. And, he hasn't been in form, so that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
And then Klopp and Salah got into a little altercation when Salah was being subbed on, and Klopp went up and said something to Salah first. They were exchanging words, and it kind of got a little feisty. Like, I don't think that should happen on the field. If you have something to tell your manager, tell him in private. Like, don't make a scene because the TV, all the media is going to pick up on it. And this was probably a lingering thing. Like, I think something has been going on between them.
No, I agree. I mean, I didn't see that, but Judging by what you said, yeah, maybe Klopp shouldn't have like gone up and said something before he went on the field. But also, you don't say something like that to your manager right before you get on the
Yeah.
field, and especially in front of press and fans and everything who don't even know what you said and will definitely blow it out of proportion
Oh yeah,
or
definitely.
create fake news. Like it's just it was such a bad idea on his end. I feel like there's just so much going on in Liverpool right now, like as a club. And something that kind of worries me is that something similar was happening to United. How there was
Mhm.
a lot of drama within the club, you know, with Sancho and
Yes.
everything. And Sancho was like one of the great players for United, and then he left. And so I'm worried something like this might also happen to Liverpool because you know we've seen it happen before. Like I just said to United.
Yeah, because like I love how you like managed to link United into
Well,
It's-
I had like it makes sense though because it happened to United and now you literally see it happening to Liverpool.
I get what you're trying to say, and at the end of the day, Klopp makes the decisions. He's in
Hmm.
charge. You shouldn't explode at your manager like that. Yes, Klopp started it. I will say that. He probably said something that, just, Salah
Yeah.
just, erupted there. But what am I trying to say? Salah has to choose how to respond. He chose to explode. He chose to make it public. He didn't start already, so there was some anger in him. And then, Klopp said what he said. Salah went off, but like I said, Salah hasn't been performing recently, so obviously he didn't start. And it's surprising because you don't usually see something like this happen under Klopp. Like I've never really seen it happen under him ever, like since he's been there. There's probably something personal going on, but they need to settle this because there's still games to play. But it's kind of sad to see.
I mean, it is really sad to see. And Klopp was the best, one of the best Liverpool coaches, and
Yeah.
he had a lot of impact on them. It's just kind of sad seeing how they react with him now and how everything's kind of happening. But also, I feel like I'm not trying to defend Salah at all because he definitely should not have reacted like that, especially on the field. And if you're talking to your manager, then you should definitely talk with respect.
Mm-hmm.
But also to have reacted that way, something else must have definitely happened before, like more than one incident, because if it was only one incident, then you know I don't think Salah would have reacted like that, but it was probably multiple reoccurring things that happened that made him mad, and then the not starting was probably just a little cherry on top, and whatever Klopp said before definitely ticked him off and created that kind of a interaction between them.
No, yeah, I understand that too. Like, I bet you Klopp probably said something like, "Oh, are you ready?" And Salah probably was like, "Am I ready? I've been ready for 45 minutes." And he just like, you know what I mean? I don't think it was something like,
I don't think it was something like harmful where it's like, oh, don't mess up like you always do. Like, I don't think it was
yeah.
something like that. I think it was something harmless that he said, but was
Hmm.
probably backhanded at the same time. So speaking of United, they played Burnley at Old Trafford and shockingly tied 1-1. It took United's Anthony till the 79th minute to score the first goal and take the lead, but it wasn't long until Burnley was rewarded a penalty because United's goalie clattered over an opponent inside the area. Burnley took full advantage of this penalty and scored the tying goal. Manchester United took the very little time remaining to try to score, but with multiple failed attempts, the final whistle blew, and Burnley took 1 point back to their relegated spot. Burnley is literally in relegation right now. And Manchester United, though the penalty was very controversial, I do got to say
Hmm.
that. A lot of people are arguing over it. They should have still won because they took forever to score their first and only goal.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't even get two in the net against a 19th place team who has no chance of like getting out of relegation anymore. Like Manchester United just did not at all play up to expectations and got so lucky to even have 1 point. They played sloppy and uncoordinated, except for maybe like the last 10 minutes after Burnley's penalty because they knew they had to step up their game. But if they played their whole game, like those last 10 minutes, they would have had such a higher score, scored
Hmm.
way sooner than almost the 80th minute. Literally, it took them 80 minutes to score. Like, that is insane.
So I am getting from you that you are not happy with how United played in this game.
No.
You well, would you like to hear something that your manager said after this game? Because I thought it
Oh,
was very funny. I was
what?
like, okay, ready? This is his exact quote, word for word. So he said after the game, "We are one of the most dynamic and entertaining teams in the league at this moment. We are creating loads of chances by playing good football. It was unnecessary to lose control." Mhm.
Oh my god. I think he's actually delusional. I think he's actually delusional. He should wear a shirt that says like I'm delusional.
Oh yeah, for
Because
real.
honestly, they had a few chances. They are very entertaining because of how awful they are. Like it's embarrassing that he has to make up excuses at this point to justify how they played. Just admit that you could have played better. Just literally admit to the point, be like, I'm happy we got 1 point, but we could have played better.
Like, does he actually believe this? So that's what I want to know. Like, how blind do you have to be? Like, I don't know if he's trying to like kiss up to the ownership so they won't fire him, but you look stupid. Dude,
He
like
does.
no one believes you. None of the fans believe you. You don't believe him. Everyone can see. Stop lying. Like, does he say this to his players? Because I bet you those players are not paying attention to you anymore. They know they're garbage. Like, he makes no sense. Like, it's just laughable.
I feel like if he doesn't say this to his players and he says it to the press, if I was a player on that like a team that the coach was like, "Oh, we're playing awful right now. Like we created some
Mhm.
chances, yes, but we could play better." But then you go and tell the press, "We're amazing. We're phenomenal." I
Yeah.
feel like it would just mess with my head and I'd be like, "Okay, well, what are we then?" Like I know you're telling me something else and what you're telling the press you can lie to, whatever. But the way that like I feel like that would just make me mad at my manager too after a while. Like just tell them the truth, tell them how we're playing so then there's not these expectations set for us that we can't reach yet. Like
Yeah,
I feel like that's also setting something for United and turning them into a joke now.
yeah, like obviously a lot of managers they have to go defend their team in some
Mhm.
kind of way, but there's also like reality checks. So you've seen managers be very critical of their teams and I don't know what he's trying to like do. Like this game was boring. Both teams made mistakes. It was up and down the field. Like Burnley had was attacking and then United was attacking. They were just it was not a good technical game and Burnley have been struggling this season, but United are the better side by far. And they have the better players, but they just don't know how to put teams away.
They really don't. I mean, the way that they've been playing this game and recently, they have good moments. I'll give them that. They have good moments,
Mhm.
but they don't have security really. And by
Mm-mm.
that, I mean they play, but they play just to play. And when they do, it's luck. The amount of times we've said they won on luck. It
Oh
should
yeah.
be like documented at this point because they have so much potential, they just don't reach it anymore because I don't think they care. I think they need a new
No.
manager, honestly. He was great at the time being, but now he's just not great anymore and they need a new one. They really do.
Chelsea would save themselves a point by coming back to draw Aston Villa 2-2. Chelsea would get off to a bad start with Cucurella scoring an own goal in the 4th minute. Morgan Rogers would then make it 2-0 into halftime. Chelsea would then regroup late in the second half with a goal by Noni Madueke, and Conor Gallagher would rescue Chelsea a point with a goal in the 81st minute. I am actually very happy with the result. I'm happy how we didn't back down. Usually when teams are ahead of us, we kind of hide and we just don't care, but we got two back, and for me that feels like a win for us, especially for how we started. We did not start off strong at all. We actually could have won the game. There was a late goal that was chopped off, which like literally pains me, but we still got a result. It was obvious that it wasn't a goal because Badiashile, he literally pushed a Villa player to the ground, but still I am very happy with this result.
I mean, I'm not happy with it because I just don't want Chelsea to win. And this
Mhm.
wasn't a win, but I would consider this a win in their book because technically they scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
Technically, that counted because, the own goal. But still, like looking at the stats, you see how Chelsea had 21 shots and Villa only had 9. and they had the possession and everything. And Chelsea, they played how you would expect them to play this game. I mean, if you hear the Chelsea, like I always mention, you expect way better. But
Mhm.
judging by how they played and how they've been playing, this is pretty good for them. And they bounced back from their own
Oh,
goal. They
yes.
bounced back from their. I want to say,
5-0 Aston Villa.
yup,
I mean, Arsenal loss. But can I say something?
yep.
We did not have Cole Palmer in that game, but look, we had Cole Palmer back in this game and we did not lose. So
I
he
feel like
is.
that says a lot about Chelsea's
It
depth in their
does.
squad, though, because the fact that they need Cole Palmer to even function, like,
A
I think it just
21-year-old.
says so much about their
Yeah.
squad and who they sign and who they put on the field. Yes, Cole Palmer's amazing, giving him so much credit.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish he wasn't as good as he was, just to see how Chelsea would play. I feel like they would have, because right now they depend on Cole Palmer, and there's
Yeah.
nothing bad about that. You can depend on a player, but you also need that depth, like you
Mhm.
do. Like at some point, City really depended on Holland,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they had that depth, so they don't need to depend on him all the time now. Like
Mhm.
Chelsea doesn't have that anymore. Oh,
No.
never really had that.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
they
But
did,
not
but like
not recent years.
not recent years, not recent years. Let's put it that way.
We
And
stood. Oh, I'm
sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead, you can go.
Chelsea really, I think I've mentioned before how when they're winning first half, they usually slip up at the end. And
Mhm.
when they're losing first half, they gain it back at the end. And I think
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of it because they
Yeah.
were losing first half and they had all the time to get back. And then, like,
Mhm.
whenever they're losing or winning towards the end, then they don't really change
Yeah.
the score. They usually sit back.
Yeah, we statistically dominated this game. We had 72% possession, 21 shots, 5 on target, which I'm very happy with that. And I thought Villa, they played somewhat smart. You know, they got 2 goals, then they sat back for the rest of the half, and they probably thought in the second half, you know, we'll go again, we'll start attacking again, and they'll like hammer us. But, you know, my man Pochettino, he probably said something in the dressing room and they just got pumped up and we came out like a differently than we did in the first half. And Villa didn't really know what to do because they did not expect it. And like you said, we bounced back after that terrible Arsenal result. And some players actually impressed me in this game, like Noni Madueke. He really showed up in that second half, and he scored. He helped us get the result we did. Gallagher, so underrated. He works his butt off like every game. Him and Palmer have just helped this team so much this season, and I'm proud.
I mean, I'm not proud. I was rooting for Villa in
Yeah,
this game,
I
but
know.
keeping my personal opinion out, Chelsea did play much better than how
Mhm.
you would have expected. And I agree with what you said about how Villa, they did play really smart. They did.
Mhm.
They came out there, they had a game plan. I mean, they're in fourth place. And you
Yeah.
got to give them credit. Like they're good this
Mhm.
season. They're really good. But I mean, they came out, they were strong first half. They were definitely strong second half too, but whatever happened in the dressing room definitely gave Chelsea some kind of boost of confidence
Oh
because they
yeah.
came out a lot stronger. And I feel like Villa just wasn't expecting that. They were expecting more of a, yeah, we're gonna attack, but we're also gonna defend. And Chelsea was like, no, attack, attack, attack.
Yeah. And I think we have ability. It's just I think the players we signed have potential, but they don't fit together. And I've said that before. And we kind of scared Villa at the end. Like they were hanging on. They could have lost this game. And I'm very content with this result, even though some of our players they weren't, which I understand because you always want to win games. But compared to a lot of our recent results, we need to put more performances in like this.
Compared to how it could have been, this
Yeah.
result isn't as bad as you
Yeah.
would expect for Chelsea right now.
Yeah, and those are all the games that we had this weekend.
Yes, so that's it today. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget to follow our Instagram and YouTube at Very Factual Podcast.